Hey Nick, it's back to school month, and I know you've never been to college, but have you been to night school?
Yeah, I've been to night school. I look in the windows all the time.
Peeping Tom. All right, that's the name of the movie, so there you go.
Hey guys, it's your favorite final girl and boy, Emily and Nick, and your favorite final babysitter, Mike, coming at you with a new episode of Gag Me with a Knife, a podcast where we slash, disembowel, and shred the best and worst slasher movies. This week we'll be continuing our back-to-school slasher month as we dissect 1981's Night School. As usually, Emily's got the box, so stop studying and let's hear what's on the back of it.
I got the
Show what's on the back, girl.
I got 2 boxes.
Nice.
Freaky.
In the dark of night, a killer lurks. There's something horribly wrong at night classes at Wendell College. A mysterious machete-wielding madman in black leather is stalking the women and decapitating the victims with grisly precision. Police Detective Judd Austin suspects Professor Millett, an anthropology instructor with an eye for beauty who's involved with his gorgeous research assistant Eleanor, played by stunning Rachel Ward from Final Tier, in her film debut. But is Millett actually the sleek figure in black who's singling out these young women to meal this horrible fate? Or does the answer really lie elsewhere? And when Austin finally makes his move to put an end to this one-man crime wave of savage attacks, is he ending the spree of bloody murder? Or has he only let a mad killer go free to strike again? Be careful at Wendell College. When something goes bump in the dark at night school, it could be the sound of a falling body. 1981. What are your thoughts?
I thought the score was pretty good.
The score is good. It was done by the guy that did Terminator 1 and 2.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit, man. No, I thought that was pretty good. It's all right, man. I don't know. It's serious.
It is serious. I liked it. It had a really heavy giallo feel to it for me.
Yeah.
Especially because the lead actor that plays Judd Austin, the lieutenant, he is Italian, and a lot of his scenes are dubbed.
I thought a lot of the sets, like the interiors, looked kind of like that.
The cinematography is great, and I'll go into some of the other stuff I think he's done. I'm pretty sure in my trivia. So I liked it. I thought it was kind of slow. I think you could have probably taken about 15 minutes off of it. There was too much off-screen slashing for my taste. There was no camaraderie, but
I felt it was too serious for its own good.
Yeah, but I expect that out of 1981.
Yeah. It feels like more of a thriller than a straight horror.
Well,
it's very adult.
Early 80s slashers are notorious for being more on the serious side, which is why I prefer the later 80s of slashers when they started having more fun with it because they knew it was on its way out. So I kind of expected that from this, but anyway, why don't you get us started, Mike?
Yeah, this is like more of a slasher film than a slasher flick.
Yeah.
It's really very well crafted.
Slasher verite.
I mean, and it starts out very well. So, in my opinion, I thought it was a really cool scene to start out with.
Well, first we get like 4 or 5 beautiful shots of Boston at night. Because we're in Boston.
What's new and exciting things to do in Boston have to offer?
As long as you're across the fucking river and just
Nick
looking
hates
at it,
Boston,
I
so
fucking hate that place.
Anyway, that's the first and last time we'll talk about how much
Throwback
Nick hates
Thursday.
Boston.
Okay, so we're at Jack and Jill's daycare center around 6 p.m. We find out later from a police report. And it's already dark, so it must be winter.
It says it.
It must be winter time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so teacher and her student are on, that's a merry-go-round, is that right?
Yes, but also it's nighttime, which makes no sense if she goes to night school. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, it's 6 o'clock. You can still make a 7 o'clock
That's
class.
True.
The teacher is hanging out with a student who tells her she wants to be a teacher just like her, and she's playing with a pinwheel on a merry-go-round. The mom picks up the kid. The janitor leaves. She's all alone on the merry-go-round. And we hear a motorcycle pull up in the background and a black helmeted figure.
Good costume, by the way.
It looks like Nail Gun Massacre to me.
Well, I thought it was better than that. And also, I did talk about this. In Nail Gun Massacre, they try to trick you. We've done this show, so it's fine. They try to trick you into thinking it's the woman by I think having a woman in the costume, because it looks like a woman in the costume the whole time. In this movie, I thought it was it looked either like a dude or an androgynous killer. Like
I think it was both in this movie. I think they switched
it out, or something, because I was like, that doesn't look like a woman's gait, but whatever.
So later it does.
I mean, Mick Jagger would walk around in a killer's costume.
Well, that's who it really was. That's fun fiction for later.
So anyway,
come on, damn.
So they're in the merry-go-round,
and the killer grabs the ride, stops it, and is on the ride. The killer stops the ride, but then starts spinning it real fast. And Anne's like, "Who are you? What are you doing? All the kids have been picked up."
She's like, "Stop!
And so the merry-go-round's going really fast, and she gets decapitated. None of these kills are really on screen, though, right?
No, they're not on screen, but it is by a what do you call it? Curved kind of knife. It says a machete on the back. It's actually called a cookrit. Or
Gurkha knife.
Or a Gurkha knife.
Of Nepal.
Mm-hmm. So that's important, kind of.
Does this look like a J to you?
So you move up.
So then we're in a busy plaza. We see Lieutenant Judd Austin and his girlfriend buying Rice Krispies. I think he says something about, "I'm going to make you my bride." Like I thought they were engaged.
I thought they were married. I don't know.
Well, we don't see her for the rest of the movie anyway.
She does say it's a lousy job, and I was like, being a cop, yep. Mm-hmm.
We also hear a couple times
Emily's going ACAB.
He's Harvard graduated, so we've got a Harvard policeman. He gets he's supposed to have a lovely night with his...
Harvard graduated police officer.
It only comes up like 3 or 4 times.
I was like, is he at least
Harvard
a detective?
boy.
And then I found out later he's just a lieutenant. And then he makes fun of the other guy for being a sergeant. I was like, what? Okay. Bye.
He was the smartest guy in the force. Nerd cop.
All cops in Boston are Harvard educated, right?
Yeah.
But he gets called
That's why they're so racist.
He kind of gripes with his wife, but again, we don't see her the rest of the film, so who cares how she feels? Mm-mm. So he shows up at the scene of Anne's murder.
Well, he gets a phone call.
Yeah, he gets called away.
Yeah.
They're about to have a romantic evening.
But they say something about on the phone that it was the same MO as the last one.
Yeah,
so
when he shows up to the scene,
meant to think
it's mentioned that there have been 2 killings.
There's been 2 heads.
Week. And they talk about that killing later. They say that the girl's head was found in a duck pond.
Yeah.
But they don't say anything about the college, so it's not until a couple murders in the cops start seeing, like, oh, they're all in the same class.
Yeah, so he's called out to like the crime scene where you see Taj.
We see Taj.
That's the sergeant. That's going to be his like partner in crime for the movie.
The head is found in a bucket of water while the body is still on the merry-go-round. So,
and that's when Judd says something. And Taj is like, "You're the college guy. I'm just a cop." And I'm like,
man,
y'all are both cops.
I just want to put this out there and say that Taj is the only comedic relief in this film and probably the best fucking part of it.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. So the head was in a bucket of water. That's very important. The first head was in pond, which is water. Mm-hmm. The second head is found in a bucket of water.
So the lieutenant goes and talks to the director of the daycare.
But he also says it's Freudian. Taj does. And I was like, I don't really think the head being a bucket's Freudian. I think it's just like the killer's signature, but okay. I don't know how that would be Freudian. But.
Well, the director of the daycare sends Lieutenant to go to Wendell College, where Anne attends night school. Yeah, and I have a note that says, I like the partner, Taj. He's great.
Yeah.
So the lieutenant goes to the coroner's, and the coroner says that it looks like it's an execution. That's the only word I can think of for it. And that's when he and Taj discuss the previous case that happened before the movie started and mentions the duck pond. So the lieutenant goes to see the professor...
Millett,
Vincent Millett.
God, fuck
at
this
Wendell
guy.
College, because that's whose Anne teacher was. And he...
Or one of her. Was you just taking one class?
That's what it seemed like.
Okay.
Anthropology class. Well, he goes, talks to the headmistress. She sends him to the lecture hall where he's talking about the Asmat New Guinean adoption ceremony.
Except for the lieutenant he has fucking no clue what the fuck this presentation is about, and you can tell.
But he went to Harvard.
I'm an anthropology student. I was a little lost. They were talking about a tunnel of...
Well, but he walked in during a presentation, which pisses Millett off. I'm just like, who fucking cares? It was one fucking presentation that you gave. Shut up.
From the start, you can tell these guys do not like each other.
Yeah, it's already a war.
Well,
I didn't like the cop beforehand, but
I liked the
after
cop,
seeing
but-
Millet, I immediately liked the cop because I hated Millet.
Yeah, and also the cop is clearly being dubbed half the time because he is Italian. So just by the way.
So
I didn't even notice that.
It's not always,
The
but-
professor basically was like, "Hey, talk to Kim over here. They were best friends." And Kim says that Anne didn't have any other friends, but that she did have a boyfriend that she wouldn't tell her about because it was like somebody they both knew.
But before that, we see Rachel Ward, Eleanor, watching the professor being a total fucking creep on Kim, kissing her on the top of the head.
Oh
and
yeah,
shit.
dude, he's fucking handsy as shit throughout this movie.
And then I think it's Millett that says, "We've all just stepped out of the primal jungle." Like, what the fuck? Shut up.
Everybody's ready to fuck.
And then he's also like, I think it's, by the way, I'm just an anthropology professor, but just FYI, I think it's a psychotic killer without any motive or rhyme or reason.
FYI, I'm DTFAF.
Like, thanks for letting us know the professor is not the killer, by the way, because
he is killing it. He's killing that pussy. He's slaying that pussy.
But someone that's
these are very attractive girls at the school.
Someone
He's
that's
a babe slayer,
obviously being portrayed to be a killer is not going to be the killer, especially when this is so a slasher trying to be a giallo. Anyway.
So we cut to Eleanor at the Lamplight restaurant.
Well, we also find out by that time also that the professor is fooling around with all the students.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that actually, Carol, the waitress, actually mentions that she asked Eleanor, like, "Hey, what about that professor?"
Except for she had never
he's fucking the waitress, too.
I know he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Is he really?
I couldn't tell when they...
No, I don't think
she's bragging about it.
She talks shit on him. I think that's what happens to her.
I don't know, the way he flirts with her in a later scene.
That's the girl. The waitress is the one that he had to have an abortion with. That's why she's like, "Oh, how about that professor?"
At this point, it's just Eleanor and, like I said, Carol
who is credited, by the way, as Carol Lamplight in the...
Well, that's the
her
name of the
character's name.
restaurant.
But her name is Carol Moore, I think. They say her name later. And
I
it's
like Carol Lamplight.
Not Carol Lamplight.
That's pretty cool.
Anyway.
So we also see goofy, spooky Gary, the peeping Tom.
That weirdo.
Is that his whole name, too?
He looks like a tall Peter Dinklage in some scenes.
He does look like a fully
grown.
Wow.
Wow, that was awful.
Yeah. Next. So Carol leaves because she's so upset by what... I'm sorry. Eleanor leaves because she's so upset about what Carol said about the professor is known to get around with all the students. They're fucking... That's his living girlfriend.
How does his bottom bitch, his main girl, not know this? If everybody in town... She can't get a cup of coffee without fucking somebody saying this.
Yeah, if I was a professor, I'd want to work at a Boston girls' school.
I just felt like
obviously nobody cares.
Well, I felt like in this scene we were sitting through a tedious scene of nothingness for a stupid red herring, which is clearly Gary, because he's not going to be the fucking killer either. He's too fucking weird. That's not what happens in
I like
these
his
fucking
collage
movies.
skills we see later. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves, guys.
Anyway.
Sorry.
All right, so Gary starts following Eleanor from the restaurant to home.
And she's scared. And considering the ending, I don't know why the fuck she's running.
She can... Okay,
Well, she's got to be chased to her man.
He probably
all
just
part of it.
Also, I was saying...
Some people like this, Emily.
This dude probably just wants to give her a dirty fork or something. I don't know, something weird.
He's probably trying to return her fucking, like...
panties that he stole?
Her wallet or something like that.
He steals panties. And
Hey, you forgot your card.
I like the dog. There's a German Shepherd jump scare in this where she's kind of hearing the footsteps, looks behind her, and he like ducks behind a into an
alcove.
Yeah. But she stops at one point, and this German Shepherd's just like, and she starts running.
I also
falls.
thought she was a lot more attractive in the final terror than this one.
I don't know, man.
By the way.
She's about to take a shower, so she gets back to her apartment.
Tee shots.
And she's wearing this beautiful sheer bra. I think that Rachel Ward is an amazingly gorgeous lady from this period, early 80s. But so she's in the shower,
Period.
and the shower looks like it is got the best water pressure of all time. But we see that somebody is trying to unhook the latch through the door. But then they start ringing the doorbell. So I'm like, oh, that's not Gary. He's not going to ring the doorbell.
Well, I was
or a killer's
like,
not going to ring the doorbell. So.
She jumps out so fast. I was like, okay, if she was so scared, then why would she jump out immediately, like after the fastest shower of all time besides George Clooney and Burn After Reading? He takes a really like fast shower. But like,
well, she stops it and then starts it again.
So she hears a strange noise. Whatever. Yeah.
It's the doorbell. Is it that strange?
No.
But I guess we see somebody. She turns back on the shower, starts lathering those luscious. Oh, okay.
We don't see her boobs
We see
yet.
somebody coming. And this is really drawn out, kind of like this segment of our podcast. It's really drawn out, like, oh, somebody's coming. We see them in the shower curtain. And it's Professor Millet. It's her lover.
Oh God, they start out kissing, which is gross, and then
he starts.
They take a jelly shower.
He starts rubbing some kind of red mud on her.
Yeah, they're having a
strawberry
fucking
jam.
Rich white people say.
They're having a stupid
They're trying
fucking
to figure
ritual.
out whether you can jelly or jam it up your ass.
I was like, this is appropriation if I've ever seen it. I'm sorry,
terrible.
but their stupid fucking tribal sex scene, like, okay.
I don't know what it was, and I
Cut
don't know why it's there.
cut to a fish tank.
Yeah, we
So
cut to the
obviously this
aquarium.
huge aquarium fish tank is going to have a head in it. You know.
And she's Kim in a wetsuit. We don't know it's Kim until she starts taking the wetsuit off. But she's feeding turtles squids.
I mean,
And
they eat that
there are
shit.
people watching, but then we see that the helmeted killer is also watching. So she exits after the turtles are fed, I guess. She exits, starts going downstairs, and
She's like up against a chain link fence kind of thing.
we start hearing that Freddy tapping of the
I thought
cookrit
that was
on,
really cool. The
no, it sounded
cooker
cool.
when she was
on that fencing.
on the fence, yeah.
No, it sounded great. But
Yeah.
she's freaked out. Who wouldn't be? But somehow the killer pops out of the locker.
Yeah, it's
How-
in a
how did
locker
that
all of a
happen?
sudden.
Yeah, he pops out of a locker and gets to slashing.
She just starts slashing, and the girl mid slash is like, "Leave me alone, go away."
Yeah. Nobody,
and I was like,
nobody
"Ain't
getting
gonna."
stabbed in this really
I was-
seems too concerning.
I
They're
was
just
like,
"Hey,
"Girl,
quit it."
bitch, this ain't gonna help you now. Like, you're already mid slash yelling, go away.
This
Like,
is
it ain't
kinda,
happening."
I think this is kind of how like getting stabbed kind of works. It's like, ow, hey, fucking quit, ow, dude.
But,
like,
you
I think
know,
it takes a little while.
you see
Who are
that
you?
slashing,
Like,
but then
why are you doing this?
it's also a cutaway decapitation, and yeah.
It is, but first they net each other. Like the
Oh, yeah,
killer
she
throws
puts
a
a-
net
she puts a
on,
net on her,
Kim,
yeah.
and Kim somehow throws the net back. But did you get kind of some? I think it came out
He
in
knows
82
you're alone
after.
vibes.
I got Tenebrae vibes because she's bleeding all over
yeah.
that white wall.
I got that, but then also, then the next scene, her head shows up in the aquarium, which is on
the old head in the fish
which
tank.
is a larger scale. He knows you're
But
alone.
it bonks that turtle.
Yeah,
and then the turtle
But,
starts eating it.
and
Yeah.
he knows you're alone. There's the head in the fish tank. It's like the worst head
Yeah.
ever. I couldn't really see the face in this one, so I couldn't really tell. But it's the only time that you see an actual half of a face instead of just their fucking hair.
Or them getting pulled off screen.
So
Anyway, old head in the fish tank routine. That's what the guy said. I think that's what
you
Todd
hear the
said.
old lady screaming, and then the cops are there talking about the heads in the water.
Who says that though?
Taj gets a tuna fish sandwich, which he then offers some to Judd.
Yeah,
He puts it in his
give me
mouth,
some of that.
and he's like, once Taj says it's tuna fish, he takes it out of his mouth and gives it back to Taj.
I do think the head
I
in the
enjoyed that
water
part.
is an interesting
No,
idea, though.
I think it's really cool how they tied.
No, I
Anthropology
like
into
it.
this.
I like it. I just wish that every single decapitation wasn't a fucking cutaway when we know, like,
There's this became a video nasty. It's like there is no gore
yeah.
whatsoever. Like some guy has some blood. You do see the decapitated heads, but they're not like dripping.
No, you
or
see,
in close up.
most of the time it's just hair.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fucking dumb. Anyway,
So where were we?
tuna fish. And he says, old head in the fish tank routine. Like, that's something that happens a lot.
So this is where the lieutenant goes to Professor Millett's house,
Mm-hmm.
and Eleanor opens the door. He's like,
Yeah, because she says, oh, you can disturb anyone at any time just because you're a cop. And he's like,
Yep.
why wouldn't... I don't know. Why wouldn't he expect her to be there? One, but he is. And then he's like, yeah, that would be what it suggests or whatever.
Well, Millet did. When he first introduces Eleanor, he calls her the foreign exchange student.
He does, yeah.
Which, during this interaction, he calls her my research assistant. So...
That's later on, actually.
She's a mail
But because he's basically like, he finds out and he's kind of upset about Kim.
He's asking about the professor being involved with either Kim or Anne, the two girls from his class have been murdered. And the professor's like, oh, it's a coincidence. It's like, nah, probably not, buddy.
Yeah, I was like, what do you have in common? You're emotionally involved in your students. And he says something about them, maybe he says it, or she says it. They're barely out of puberty. I was like, what?
Yeah, he does say something like that.
Gross.
But again, we have
Insolent son of a
Eleanor.
bitch.
And that's whenever he should have looked at her and been like, bitch, this is night school.
Eleanor overhears this and is again getting jealous.
That escalates very quickly because it's like, you insolent son of a bitch. It goes from like 0 to 60 in no time with them. And he tells Eleanor, you should have known what to expect. When she started dating him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm an asshole. I'm a fucking perverted, disgusting piece of shit, and you should have known what to expect.
And this is where she lets him know that she's pregnant.
Yeah. And also, at that moment, I heard it, forgot about it for the entire movie until the end.
Oh.
Yes, so.
I remembered.
No. But he does say, I think... she says she's pregnant, which I was like, okay, cool, plot device, whatever. And he's like, oh, that's why we've been acting crazy lately.
Yeah, we did say that.
And she goes,
What an asshole.
and then she goes, you're going to let me keep it? I was like,
well, she gets mad and
then
goes to the lamplight.
But he goes, everything will be, this is at the lamplight. He's like, everything will be fine. What? And then she's like, can we get married? And he's like, I gotta go.
I gotta go.
Yeah, he's out of there.
Yeah.
Fucking baller.
Yeah, and he's like, and then that's when the waitress comes up,
Yeah,
and this is why I think
Carol's
she gets
overheard.
killed.
I gotta go get a pack of smokes, and she never sees him.
I don't think Carol was fucking him. I think it's just because she was talking shit, and because she says, if you believe that bullshit, you'll believe anything. Yes, waitress. Yes, Carol. Love you, supporting character.
You get you pregnant too.
So when he leaves the lamplight, Millett goes to see who I've got written down as the headmistress.
Yeah, it's a Helene
Griffin.
Helene Griffin, yeah. But also she's talking to Kathy though, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Kat, she's
He's
another
like,
student.
I didn't talk to you. She's like, not right now. But he stands there and listens to how another student, Kathy, has been jilted by him.
How is he getting all these fucking women?
He's a professor, and girls have daddy issues.
And he's at just an all-girls school.
Whatever.
I guess the rest of the professors were like 80.
His hair's receding, and he perceives. He makes them perceive him as smart. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everybody. Yeah, exactly. My sentiments precisely.
Okay, so he overhears Kathy's confession, and this is where Griffin
Gets real creepy.
Griffin, she's like, Kathy, don't you live alone? And she invites her to come stay at her
She goes,
house.
spend the night at my house. I was like, okay, now you're being a creep, Helene.
That's just how college
No, all
works,
these
right?
teachers are trying to fuck, dude. Like,
Well, and they do.
yeah, they
So,
are.
they get theirs.
What else is there to do in Boston?
I mean,
Not
God, maybe
much,
I should
man.
move to Boston.
No, no. It sucks.
So we cut back to the lamplight. Eleanor's not there. They're closing up.
Well,
And
she
Gus,
is. Oh, Carol's there. Sorry.
Yeah. Eleanor's not there anymore,
Yeah,
but
no.
Carol's still there, and she's going to close up for Gus because his wife's sick.
I was really upset about this because I knew when they cut back to the restaurant that Carol was next and not Kathy, because I didn't give a shit about Kathy.
Did you know Eleanor was the killer here?
Yeah, I knew Eleanor was a killer from from Jump, but like whatever. Eleanor's a killer.
Oh yeah. Which is, I mean, there's not many female slashers, right?
No, Pamela Voorhees. Actually, there are quite a few, but anyway, I'm not going to go into that.
Not this hot.
Not this hot piece of ass.
She's closing up. She's like, oh, I'm cleaning up the kitchen, getting ready to close, when all of a sudden the power gets cut off. And guess who cut off the power? The same person who's going to cut off Carol's head. They struggle, and Carol puts up a pretty good fight in the actual restaurant, and they cut some chairs in half and break
Yeah.
some mirrors and shit.
They get outside.
They get outside and, man, Eleanor's really fast because you think that Carol's going to get away, and she bumps right into the helmet.
And then there's 3 times of a slashing of her neck that's in slow-mo, but doesn't...
It's like the shadow
It's the same
of the knife.
shot, but it doesn't cut her head off, although she is decapitated, we find out. But, like, what was that? Why'd I have to see 3 same scenes in slow-mo of you
To
slashing
let you know
it?
it was real.
Well, we can see her carrying the head back inside.
But then after that, you see a shot of the killer taking groceries home to their house, which we have already seen, by the way. We've seen this person's house. This person's taking in groceries, and they have their killer outfit
Do you
on.
think she was stealing food from the restaurant?
I don't...
They
well,
eat there a lot. I mean, you might as well grab some beef stew.
Well, it looked like she had grocery bags, but...
So in the morning...
Anyway, did she go grocery shopping in this outfit? That's what I was wondering.
Well, in the morning, Gus comes back to the restaurant, and it's a fucking wreck because a machete fight happened there, unbeknownst to them. And two of the
These two
construction
constructors, they're like,
workers...
hey, can I get some coffee? Hey, hey.
And earlier, they were really more than catcalling Carol. She was like, what you want ain't on the menu, honey. She was also comic relief, right?
I really
You
loved
said
her. I
Taj was the
actually did. I
only-
loved Carol. Yeah.
Carol's,
Yeah, she was all right. Yeah.
she's witty.
I don't know how a main girl couldn't read the signs of like, yo, I fucked your man and I'm just a fucking, diner waitress.
But yeah, no, this scene gets very tedious, by the way.
So they help clean up while he heats up some beef stew and complains that they're asking
And
for
you
coffee at
think
the
the
same
head's
time.
gonna be in the beef stew?
Yeah.
Which
well,
I
one
kept
guy finds
thinking.
hair in the beef stew, and that's when Homeboy
I thought it
like,
was gonna be
Gus.
in there in the first place, and then
did
I was
too.
like,
And then when the melons fall off the top of the fridge, I thought
that
one
was
gonna be a
hilarious. I was
head.
like, hilarious. And then I was like, oh right, it has to be in water.
Yeah.
So then
Hey.
that's because I was like, it's not going to be in the beef stew. I should have fucking known that. It has to be in water.
Well, he puts his hand in the sink right before he finds the head.
Which is
he
so
must
gross
have felt
because
like
that
a
was like
fucking
old.
head.
You know how old water that
Old
is?
dishwater's
Like,
not
and it
good.
has a head in it.
You've worked in kitchens, Mike. You know whenever you put your hand in that weird fucking dishwater, like,
But
you don't know what the fuck that is.
Is this like a
So-
pineapple?
So,
don't know.
okay. It wasn't a great headshot because it just shows her hair and kind of her face a little bit.
A little bit.
But also, the hair being in the soup now has nothing to do with that. So it was just because she wasn't wearing a hairnet.
It was blonde
It's
hair.
the old head in the sink thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm like-
The whole thing and the kitchen sink.
You guys know that
but then that's when the cops come in. They go, "We got a tutti frutti red herring," basically.
No,
Yeah,
that's
well, they-
actual.
they
That's actual
demand
police
Gary.
code.
Gary hasn't
They got
been
a
working
Peter
Tutti
for
Dinklage.
Frutti 187.
Yeah, Peter hasn't. Peter.
We got a tutti frutti red herring in this movie.
You got me calling Gary Peter now. So Gary hasn't been there in 2 days,
Tall
and they
Peter
demand the
Dinklage.
address, and they're going to Gary's house. And they see some ghetto ghouls graffiti in his stairwell. I thought it was cool. And I got to say, Gary's a great nude collagist.
Also, I think if anyone's listened to this podcast, they know that in slashers, I'm not a fan of movies that have heavy crime. Even though I like crime procedural shows, some of them, I don't like it in my slasher movies.
Yeah.
And this is very heavy in the detective side of it, the crime procedural part, which I did not like that much. But here we are. So anyway, Gary Peter Dinklage has a fetish. But
Yeah,
he's not a killer.
He's got a bra, you know.
I thought it was. I don't know what it was.
Well, anyway, it's pretty obvious to the lieutenant that Gary is not the killer. He's
Yeah, because
just a
he's like, let's
just a
get out of
peeping
here.
Tom.
He's like, he's just a peeping Tom.
Taj
Let's
is real
go.
confused. So, yeah, red herring, but is it? Because,
Yeah.
well, Lieutenant
Well, okay. What's
Lieutenant
this
leaves
guy's
Taj
name
there.
again? The guy who's the peeping Tom.
Gary.
Gary.
Okay, yeah, he is just the peeping Tom, but also, like, here's the thing: he should be looked into as well. He's very dangerous.
Well, when
He's
they
already
walk,
following.
when they
his
walk up
record.
to the house, also Taj, the comic relief, the sergeant, he says, "This must be a summer place, huh?" And I was like, "Hilarious! That's probably how you got on Seinfeld for one episode." Also, I thought it was funny. There was a hockey mask in his room,
Yeah.
and this is pre Jason with the hockey mask. So, yeah. So that basically, like, Taj is like, let's fuck with this guy with a learning disability. And actually her name was Carol Mann, not Carol Lamplight. And so the lieutenant, he's just like...
He leaves Taj there.
Yeah, he's like, this is a waste of time. He's just a peeping Tom. So he goes to Professor Millett's for the second time. This is the time where Eleanor basically gives herself away.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
Like, I mean,
do you think the
1,000%.
lieutenant knows at this point?
Yes, I think that as soon as she gives this explanation coming up...
We're kind of getting close to the end of the movie here.
Yeah.
So, she says... Well, he breaks into their house. She finds him and threatens to call the police on this policeman. Which I guess she's got a case.
But he said, isn't headhunting a crime even for anthropologists?
That's a good comeback. So she kind of goes into the history of New Guinean headhunting and states that by taking the heads of their enemies, they're possessing their very life force. And the lieutenant's like, what's the significance of the heads in water?
Yeah.
And she says, quote, the cleansing of the evil spirits from the souls of the enemy, leaving the purity of the spirits. So she knows all this, and she's like, how did you know all that? And he goes, no. Yeah. He says it. She's like, how did you know? And he's like, I didn't.
No, you did. He says you didn't. Or
no, she says you didn't.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. So haven't met that many headhunters. He's
been wondering about the water the whole time, and she just
gave it away, and so like he's on the right track the whole time. FYI.
This low rent molder.
So it's pretty obvious who the killer is at this time, because Eleanor has enemies and these women, except for Carol, by the way. But she did kind of talk shit about the professor. But so she has enemies with all these women, not the professor, but like, I was like, is she accusing Griffin of also being with these girls? She does. She does.
She goes to see her lover, the professor, and she walks in on the headmaster dressing him down about sleeping with Kathy.
But she doesn't really dress him down. All she says is, I just don't think it's a very nice thing to do. I was like, it's a little more than a not nice thing to do. You're fucking like, that's harassment, and you're using your power to, like, over these women.
But she is about to
do it too. So yeah.
She's got to take it easy.
Well, she probably already has, actually, because she'd already talked to Kathy about coming over.
Yeah, but so Eleanor walks in and hears this talk of Kathy now, and immediately storms off. This upsets the professor, and the headmistress is like, I didn't mean for that to happen.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Fucking bitch. She's as much of a bitch as he is a piece of shit.
So there is a...
Well, the lieutenant's watching...
He also calls her... He's like, that's not all you want out of these girls.
Oh, yeah. You don't care about the wealth.
Even though
not all you care about is the welfare of these girls. So he knows she's fucking him too.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Nikki?
About all these teachers fucking these kids?
Yeah. Well, the two teachers there.
I try not to.
Don't you wish you'd gone to college now?
No, dude.
A women's college?
No.
It's just the dean and a professor. Okay.
I took my ACT. I'm average.
So at this point, Lieutenant Austin is staking out the professor's house, and the professor leaves. So he starts chasing him, but this garbage truck blocks him, and he gets into a verbal altercation with the garbage truck driver. And then Taj calls saying that Gary
is at Helene
Griffin's.
I thought it may be her son. I don't know why. I never figured out why.
Is he the killer
you don't
all?
actually figure out ever why he was there.
Oh, he's gonna watch some fun.
I guess
He's a peeping Tom.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I guess everybody eats at that restaurant, right?
And also, yeah. At that point, do you remember Taj says to the lieutenant, he's like, "Here, have some soup." And I was like, "Did you fucking get that? Is that beef stew with the hair in it? You got the fucking lamplight."
That's that fucking head stew.
Yeah, I actually have a sharing soup note. It was really sweet.
So it cuts to a lesbian scene.
Well, Taj says he's gonna go follow Gary, and for the lieutenant to just wait in the car. Well, but we see the headmistress and Kathy making out, but of course the damn phone rings.
How is it so easy?
What about that spiral staircase, man? That was something out of a 40s noir.
Yeah, well, it's a spiral staircase. It's like 4 fucking stories, though.
Yeah, it was really tall.
But it's a really good. They use it really well at the end.
It looks good, yeah.
Like at the end when the jump, yeah.
Yeah.
So Helene is on the phone and she turns around.
No, she only goes and answers it because it's her office phone. I was like, never do business at night. What are you fucking doing, you dumb bitch?
Yeah.
Why are you working at night? You don't need to get up. You're fucking getting your
you're getting
box
your rocks
wet.
off. You're getting your box off with a student. Yeah.
So
and you gotta go answer your office phone.
It doesn't last that long because she sees the killer and is like, "What are you doing?" No. She almost.
But at the same time, Taj is chasing Gary, so we know it's not Gary.
We know it's not Gary.
Yeah.
But Taj does not know it's not Gary.
No, Taj does not know.
So we see the door open for a second. It's like maybe she's gonna get away. It immediately shuts. Again, we don't see the decapitation because
we don't see anything.
We see a little bit of blood trickling out from underneath the door.
We just hear some like muffled screams.
But we cut to Kathy asleep with some water running in a sink, I guess. And she gets up and looks, and there's obviously a fucking head in the toilet.
Yeah.
There's hair sticking
it's
out
hair
there.
coming out of the toilet.
Covered in blood.
It's the old head in the toilet.
It's all head in
But
the
she
toilet
still
thing.
feels the need to open it.
you
Like
guys
you're
know
going to
that
see
thing, right?
something other than it.
It's just a lot of pubic hair from where like she shaved earlier or something. It's like
it's
just
the old
coming.
head in the toilet.
If it was just the hair, I
she
could
thought
kind
she
of get it, but
clogged
there
the
was
toilet
blood
with
all over
it, and she's thinking like, I have to plunge this before Helene gets on me.
It'd be funny if that actually did plunge and it went down a whole head.
If you saw that, though,
you
would
just
you
work
have
at it
to
for a little bit,
open
it goes
the
down.
Toilet? I wouldn't open the toilet if that was my toilet.
I don't.
I'd put it in the tank, be the upper decker.
Kathy does, and when she sees what is in there ahead, Helene's head,
Yeah.
we see that the killer's
Just her
behind
hair.
her.
Just her hair.
The killer is behind her, grabs her by the hair, and
Off-screen decapitation.
off-screen decapitation.
Yeah.
The
Again.
old off-screen decapitation. You guys know that
So
one, right?
the lieutenant hears some screams, and he's like, "What's going on?" He runs in, and he's going up these spiral stairs, and the helmet killer just flying tackles him.
That
jumps
scene
right
is
up.
cool. That
Yeah,
scene is
yeah,
very
it
cool.
is cool.
When the killer jumps from like the top of the fucking spiral staircase, which I don't know how you wouldn't hit a wall, but whatever. It was still a cool shot.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you would hit a wall, though.
Yeah, you would. But that's
So
the point of a
the killer gets away, takes off on their motorbike, goes to the professor's house. But when the lieutenant comes outside, he sees Taj arresting
Is
Gary.
that whenever the car chase?
No,
okay.
No, this is where Eleanor is gonna explain
this is a
everything,
big
the whole
reveal.
movie. Yeah.
Well, the Taj has Gary in handcuffs, and
He's in the
Austin's
back
like,
seat
"What
of
are
the
you
car,
doing?"
yeah.
That's them right there.
Yeah.
So they throw Gary in the back seat. But we cut to the house of
Millet.
Eleanor and Millet, and when she takes off the helmet, we see that big luscious Australian hair. It's Eleanor. Eleanor's the killer.
And I'm sorry, but she is the biggest.
I'm hungry.
She's the biggest red flag I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, Millet, now is not the time to be a hero. You
I
need
could
to be
dig it.
running far away from her.
That's a lady that'll do anything
Nah,
for her
man,
family.
I dig a girl who never smiles.
Well,
What?
she manipulates the fuck out of him. So whatever. She explains. Yeah, go ahead.
She says that she's been doing this for him, for her, and for their unborn child, and that if he's still banging other girls in the future, she's gonna
Kill
kill
them
their heads
too.
too.
Yeah.
But then she's like, now that they hear the police coming, and she's like, they're coming for me, and if I go out there, they're gonna kill me and the baby. And I'm like, you fucking manipulative fucking bitch. And then now I don't hate Millet anymore.
But also, Millet
I still
wasn't.
hate him.
Millet really got dressed quickly.
yeah.
Okay, so because the lieutenant shows up and he's banging on the door, and it's at that point that we see the helmeted figure all in black drive away on a motorcycle.
But you
and this
know
is where
it's
the car
not
chase happened.
Eleanor.
I mean,
Well, you're supposed to not know.
I knew in my heart of hearts that it was the professor.
Well, I
but-
thought it
I knew
wasn't
that
in.
too,
I didn't think it was believable in his character. That kind of person would be the hero. You know, would be like, okay, I'm gonna take it for you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I didn't think that was believable.
I
but,
like the part of the car chase scene where Gary
has to use the bathroom.
Gary's got to use the bathroom, and Tosh is just like, do it out the window.
Yeah. So there's a really tedious chase scene.
The chase scene is good.
I thought it was tedious, but
I thought it was
long.
pretty good.
it was long.
I
as
like the
fuck.
lady that almost gets hit by both cars.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of car chases that are done well.
What's your
This
favorite
wasn't-
one?
My favorite one is To Live and Die in L.A. by William Friedkin.
He did like Maniac Cops.
Yeah,
car
I was gonna
chase
say
too.
French Connection. That's
Yeah, French
Friedkin
Connection
too.
is a Friedkin as well.
I liked O.J. Simpson's car chase.
That's
I got to watch
real.
that live.
I know,
yeah,
me
yeah,
too.
everybody did. It was,
It
great.
was the slowest thing I've ever seen
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
life.
Let's see, that one sucked.
Yeah, no, it was a joke. Did you get it?
I did.
So they cut off the motorcycle and it hits a police car. They're also shooting at him.
They miss every shot, though.
Yeah, these Boston policemen need to.
They cannot.
I guess they don't
They
have.
can't shoot a white
they
guy.
don't have
They just
shooting-
can't do it.
There's no shooting classes at Harvard.
That's how racist they are. They just can't shoot a white guy.
But he does wreck, which
He
does
wrecks,
it
breaks his
doesn't
neck.
look fatal. That does not look like a fatal.
Well, they say at first,
Wreck.
"Give me an ambulance," but then by looking at the pupils,
They take the
dilated,
the helmet off though, and it is Millet. It is not Eleanor.
Millett is taking the fall for Eleanor.
He did love her because she had bitched about him not loving her.
Bullshit. That is not his character.
Well, the lieutenant knows what's up, and he is not happy, and Taj is really confused.
Taj is like, "Hey, we closed the case," because he's like,
Did we?
we closed the case and everything, and they're like, but you can tell like Judd, the lieutenant, he knows, he thinks it's Eleanor, but whatever.
Eleanor.
It cuts to the funeral.
Yeah, we're at the funeral.
Yeah, this movie
and,
won't fucking end.
Well, it's over. It's over. It's about
It's an
over.
hour and
I
28
know.
minutes. You could do worse than 88
Yeah.
minutes. But so the preacher's giving the last rites, and Eleanor just kind of walks away.
Well, she moves back to England.
So she's walking away, and the lieutenant is there waiting for her, and he asks her, "Is the ceremony over, Eleanor?" And she says yes. And he says, "I hope so." Fade to black. But then we see him at the police station, phone ringing incessantly, and he gets up, is walking to his car, gets in the car, and the helmeted figure is behind him. Oh, it's just
It's
Taj.
Taj.
It's
It's
just
Taj.
Taj.
Hilarious prank.
I
Makes
thought
sense
for-
you were on an episode of Seinfeld.
That's
not
how we look at homicide in Boston. Yeah, hey.
I like the end.
No, I thought it was funny.
That was probably the best part of it.
Good
So
laugh.
now we'll go into the
Kill count.
Dun, 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 dun. 1. Anne Barron decapitated by cookery. 2. Kim Morrison slashed repeatedly and decapitated off screen. 3. Carol Lamplight. That's not her name. It's like, what did I say it was?
That's a pretty punk rock name.
That's the name of the. It was
Just like
like
Carol Mann.
Carol Mann. Yeah.
Carol Michaels.
She's also slashed repeatedly and decapitated off screen. Helene Griffin slashed repeatedly and decapitated off screen. 5 is Kathy. She doesn't have a last name. Only one. Decapitated off screen. But actually, we don't know for sure. I'm assuming she is, but we don't ever see her head in water or anything like that. And we just assume she dies. And then 6 is Professor Vincent Millett. He wrecks his motorcycle. His neck is broken. And all the other deaths, all the other 5 deaths in this whole fucking movie are done by Eleanor. So,
Wait,
we
did
have...
Did you count the professor?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
6, but it wasn't done by Eleanor.
Yeah.
So...
You just said that.
I know. So I've got some trivia about some of the people in the movie that were involved in the movie, and just some regular trivia. So it was known as Terror Eyes in the UK. It was
a
a
great
video
film.
nasty until it was cut. They cut 1 minute and 16 seconds of the cafe scene and the changing room murders.
Oh God, the good stuff.
I don't know
the
what.
only blood.
And that's a lot to cut out of a movie, because
Yeah.
usually when you send it to the MPAA, you cut like 15 seconds at most. Something like, it's like seconds at a time. So cutting like
Always the cum shot.
I don't know what you would cut out of this, because there's nothing to see.
The foreskin.
Anyway, whatever. So the director of this film, it was his final.
Ken Hughes.
Yes, it was his final feature film, but he was famous for directing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang,
Whoa.
Casino Royale, Of Human Bondage.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this is his last movie, and he was.
What?
That's why it's such a good, well-made movie.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, it was originally, it's the cinematographer, but
Casino Royale with like what's his name? Woody Allen and Peter Sellers.
yes.
What?
It was originally supposed to be directed by Alfred Soul, who did Alice, Sweet Alice, and Pandemonium. He also did Vanity and Tanya's Island, which was had used Rob Bottin, is that how you say it?
Bottin.
Bottin, and Rick Baker.
Bottin.
And it had Vanity in it, Vanity from Prince. So, okay. Yeah. The score was done by Brad Fidel. I think that's how you say his name. And he also did music for Terminator 1 and 2, Fright Night 1 and 2, Serpent and the Rainbow, and True Lies.
Holy shit, I love True Lies.
The budget was estimated $1.2 million. It grossed about $1 million. Well, not about. It grossed $1,169,875. So it basically just made its money back. Critics hated it. It has a mild cult following. It got a DVD release in 2011. So it's shot in Boston and Beacon Hill neighborhood in the spring of 1980. The final sequence was filmed in New York City, though, and it was tacked on after principal photography. So I don't know what that really means. Like, what would have happened? Was Eleanor going to be caught? I don't know. Rachel Ward, Eleanor, was cast as her first feature film. She was cast after being seen on the cover of a magazine. I don't know which one, but it was probably either Vogue, Harper's and Queen's, or Cosmo. But she was also a cougar girl for Lincoln Mercury and a scoundrel girl for Revlon. The critics did pan this movie, but they did say that Mark Irwin's cinematography almost made up for the faulty and obvious script. It's known for having a giallo kind of feel to it.
It does.
It was originally released in Spain as Psycho 2 because they tend to do that a lot with movies.
Zombie.
Yeah. But it was 2 years before the true sequel to Psycho came out, so people were like super confused
I guess
there.
Fulci would have been in time.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, they do that all the time over there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking
Shockingly, the writer was inspired by real-life headhunters of New Guinea. Okay. So, the cookery the cook.
Literal cookery.
Well, I mean, they're all cooks in this movie, but there's so many cooks in this movie. But the cookery knife is the basic...
I think there's only one cuck in this movie, and it's the main killer.
It's the basic utility knife of the Gurkha. So some people do refer to it as a Gurkha blade or knife. It was shot over 5 weeks. It got the Terror Award at this film festival they put it in called the Avoriaz Fantastic Film Festival. And it's one of the only movies where a big actress has not received introducing credit in the movie. She's not credited. She has no introductory credit. I don't know.
Introducing
Leonard Mann, who plays the lieutenant, his name is also Manzella. He's pretty popular for Italian spaghetti westerns and Polizio Tedeschi. I'm saying that. I know I'm saying that wrong. Tedeschi. Yeah, which are basically giallos, but like crime action thrillers. Rachel Ward, Eleanor.
Wait, so Manzella was also in Flowers in the Attic.
Flowers in the Attic.
And Silent Night, Deadly Night
3. Yeah. So I did write that down. I just didn't say it. Flowers in the Attic is fucking gross, though. So I don't know who he played, but bye. Rachel Ward, she was in The Final Terror, which we covered in our Backwoods Slasher Month. She played Margaret, if I recall, right?
Mm-hmm. The one that sewed Daryl Hannah's face.
I do think that she is more attractive in that movie than this one. But anyway.
She's an attractive woman. She was also Steve Martin's love interest in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, which is awesome. She's been nominated a bunch of times for a Golden Globe. She was nominated in 1981 for this movie. Just kidding. No, it was. Don't you mean the Thornbirds?
She was nominated as New Star of the Year in Sharky's Machine with Burt Reynolds. Then she was in Don't Wear Plaid with Steve Martin.
Hell yeah.
She was nominated again for a Golden Globe in 1983.
It's not Don't Wear Plaid. It's Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
I said that.
No, did you?
No, that movie's so cool. They intersperse like old.
Yeah. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I don't know what I said. White Men Don't Jump. I don't know.
That's exactly what you said. With Steve Martin.
But Steve Martin, yeah, he's playing basketball and he can't. So
it's just him from The Jerk.
It's just footage.
That's
of him.
the movie that needs to be made.
It's just footage of him for an hour and a half not being able to make a shot.
He finally gets a free throw and he's like, I got it.
Like earnest movies, like Naven's in the NBA.
I don't need anything except this ashtray and this Rosie Perez. But other than that, I don't need anything
except this lamp.
And this Wesley Snipes.
So Gigi Allen. She was nominated again for a Golden Globe in 1983 opposite Richard Chamberlain in the miniseries The Thornbirds. She was again against all odds with Jeff Bridges. And then she filmed Fortress in 1985 and disappeared to study acting. And then she came back in 87 opposite her now Australian husband, because she's Australian, Brian Brown, for The Umbrella Woman. Again in 2001, she's nominated for a Golden Globe for the miniseries On the Beach.
She's a baller.
She never won, though. So she's basically the Charles Barkley of the Golden Globes. That's what I thought. You know, I ain't got no ring.
Damn. Ain't got no ring.
She did get some Australian awards. Like, I don't care. So for being a humanitarian, it was for being a humanitarian. I don't fucking care. Anyway, so
that's the same way the American fucking film committee felt about her. I don't fucking care.
This was her first movie,
the problem.
though. So Drew Snyder, he's
the bad guy in Commando,
played Millett.
Oh, yeah?
He was in Kojak.
Oh hell yeah!
He was in The Incredible Hulk. He was in Death Wish 2, War Games, Space Raiders.
War Games with Matthew Broderick?
Yeah.
But he's the villain in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando.
Firestarter.
Okay.
Commando. I'm getting there.
I haven't seen it, man.
I'm getting there. Commando. He was in a few episodes of Ryan's Hope, which is one of my favorite old school
Was
soap
he ever
operas.
an Airwolf?
He was an Airbud. I'm just
Airbud?
kidding.
Airbud 2?
He was in
Can
LA
dunk.
Law, and he was in Cruel Intentions.
Oh yeah,
He played the headmaster.
the headmaster.
And he also had
So
reoccurring
he
roles.
finally got a job. So this
I wonder if-
character progressed.
But
I wonder
he
if he was shagging all those girls. in
He
that.
had reoccurring roles in American Horror. He's had reoccurring roles in American Horror Story, NYPD Blue, and Life Goes On.
Oh man,
Oh.
fight the power.
Yeah, fight the power. I'm gonna do it myself. So that's what I have. Do you have any?
What about
fun facts?
Taj, Joseph Sakari?
Oh, Taj was in an episode of Seinfeld, which I already referenced.
also
He
in-
plays Willie in the episode. He's Willie, the laundry guy.
Laundry dude.
Yeah.
But he's in
And the episode, The Secretary, I believe.
Hot
is
to
what
Trot with Bobcat Goldthwait and the Disorderlies with the Fat Boys.
That boys.
Fat Boys.
So, Nick, how many stars are you gonna get this?
2.
You?
I'm gonna go 2.5 just because I've given some worse movies too.
I'm gonna give it a 2. Between I couldn't decide. It's a 2.75 and a 3 for me because there was no camaraderie, so I had a really big issue with that. But the cinematography I thought deserved 1.5 stars, like more than one. It was great. It had a good giallo look for an American slasher. I thought the killer reveal was they gave it away really early, but whatever. The MO for her 0.25 I thought was pretty dumb. And then like the fact that we only got cutaway deaths and just hair.
That if it had good decapitations, I'd probably be at a 3 right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I still give it a 3 basically just for the score and the cinematography and Taj.
Very well made.
Carol. But like, yeah, I had a really big issue with that. And I've said if I read a kill count and I can like write what happens to one person and then just put quotations underneath each one so I don't have to write it again because they're all the fucking
Like the Nail Gun
same.
Massacre.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get a high kill count from me. I don't care how many deaths are in it. And on top of that, it's a low kill count. Like, there's only 6 kills in this movie, and one of them is not even like a kill. It just dies.
Yeah, there's too much of the cop stuff.
Yeah, there's way too much. So, stay gagged on Taj.
Stay gagged on tuna fish sandwiches.
Stay gagged on fucking your professor for better grades.
Stay gagged on Peter Dinklage.
Stay gagged on
Tall
turtles
Peter
eating
Dinklage.
Stay dad.
turtles eating squids.
Stay gagged on a bunch of hair.
Underwater heads.
Stay gagged on higher education.
And stay gagged on all of our social media, Instagram and TikTok, Gag Me with a Knife Podcast. And you can buy our merch at gagmewithaknifepodcast.com. We will see you next week when we'll still be at school because you're going back. Well, maybe you are, or you're not. I don't care. Anyway, see ya.